Hi guys, welcome to Simply Scuba. Here we have the Apeks DST with the XTX40 and an XTX40 Octo. So this is a very smart regulator set. The XTX40, very customizable. They're both ambidextrous, so you can move them around. The DST, I use a DST first stage. The ST is your swivel turret, so you get a bit of movement and flexibility in those hoses. Environmentally sealed, you can use these in cold waters and in warm waters. Let's take a closer look at each part. So, if I separate it out, we look at the DST first stage first. So, swivel turret just means that these top 4 low pressure ports, you get 4 low pressure ports and 2 high pressure ports. The 4 low pressure ports can swivel on that axis, so that's particularly useful on stage cylinders. Even if you're diving on twins or single cylinders, you get a little bit of flexibility, so the hose routing isn't quite so fixed. The hose doesn't have to come in at a fixed angle and that's it, which can put strain on the hoses. With the swivel turret, just allows it to move just a little bit. So on a stage cylinder, if you're deploying a hose, you can have it routing nice and straight down the cylinder, but then when you want to sort of actually use it, it can turn and then it's much more natural angle. On a single cylinder, if you turn your head to look at something, that hose can kind of turn a little bit to move with you. 2 high pressure ports, so that way you can use a submersible pressure gauge and a wireless air transmitter if you want to. It's a big chunk of metal as well, so it's great for cold water diving, reduces the chance of it of freezing up. But what also helps is the environmental sealing. So you see that you've got this sort of section of plastic over the top of it. That allows it to balance the regulator the deeper down you go, but it doesn't let any sort of salt or any nasty bits and bobs from getting inside of the working parts. So you don't have to wash it quite as thoroughly, but it also improves the cold water performance. So this is a overbalanced first stage. Overbalance basically means instead of, so a traditional first stage, if it's balanced, it will give you the same amount of gas no matter how deep you go. With overbalancing, it can actually deliver more gas the deeper down you go. So at greater pressure, it can deliver more gas than it can on the surface. So that's particularly useful in if the unlikely event that someone gets hurt or someone needs to, you need to donate gas, it can deliver plenty of gas to 2 divers at the same time, even at depth. So connecting the two second stages, we have braided hoses. So these are a lot lighter and a lot more flexible than a traditional rubber hose. The Octo, the yellow hose, is a little bit longer. So you can donate it a little bit easier to your buddy. And then to the second stages. So the second stages are both XTX40s. So they're both effectively the same second stage. It's just the Octo has these yellow colorations to it. Second stage, as it comes in, so we have this big nut and a massive heat sink coming into that. So that's actually going to warm up the cold gas coming in a little bit, reduces the chance of it freezing the valve open. You have on the front a purge button. So your purge button is a 2-stage purge button, so you can push it a little bit and get a little bit of gas, push it all the way and get plenty of gas. So if you just want to get a little bit of water out of the bottom, just push it a smidge. If you want to clear it all completely, just push it and it clears it really fast. You have one adjustment on this, and that's an adjustable venturi lever, the pre-dive lever. So that's going to interrupt a free flow before it occurs, and then when you want to get sort of slightly nicer airflow whilst you're in the water, you can put it the other way, and that improves the airflow. So the primary comes as standard with a Comfort Bite mouthpiece. So this is a little bit shorter than a traditional mouthpiece, which means it doesn't go quite so far back to your jaw. And it has this little bridge that just touches the roof of your mouth a little bit. And that means that you don't have to bite down quite so hard on this mouthpiece. It kind of sits in your mouth quite naturally. You don't have to bite down, so you don't get that same jaw fatigue that you get from some different mouthpieces. It just kind of sits in your mouth and it's there comfortable. So as I said earlier, this is ambidextrous. So a technician can actually pull this apart and flip over the internal workings. So the hose doesn't have to route in from the right-hand side. It It can route in from the left if you prefer. It comes as standard with these compact exhaust tees, but you can buy separate, the longer tees that just push the bubbles a little bit further away from your face. Again, depending on what you prefer. This one just makes it a little bit rounder, a bit more compact. It still does the job, it still pushes them away from your face, just not quite as far. And then, yeah, as I said, the Octo is pretty much the same, except for that mouthpiece. So you don't have that ComfortBite mouthpiece. This is just more of a standard mouthpiece with two separate bits. It's not quite as long as a normal mouthpiece, but you do have to bite down in it a little bit more. But because it's an Octo, it's not really going to be used that much. So all in all, a really nice set of regulators. I use something very similar when I go diving, especially in cold waters. That swivel turret, the DST, just gives you that extra flexibility, and when you sort of start to change the way that you're diving, if you're diving on singles now, but you're thinking about twins, then you can get another DST and that will sort of match it. This swiveling turret just gives you a nicer sort of hose routing. Great in cold water, great in warm water. The first stage is a little bit heavy, but the second stages are nice and light, so you can still travel with it. It's just this bit is a little bit clunky. This is the Apeks XTX40 with an XTX40 Octo and a DST first stage. Thanks for watching and safe diving.
We are an online dive store serving the UK and the world for all your diving equipment needs. So why not visit us at simplyscuba.com or click the box on your screen.